and they will literally say, I'd rather kill my baby than put him up for adoption.
What do you think that is? Would you go as far as to say that the paradigm itself is demonic?
Ruslan.
Hey guys, today I got a chance to sit down with Jeff Bradford, who is the founder of Human Coalition, one of my favorite nonprofit organizations that do amazing work to help the unborn. We covered the current viral story of Savannah, who's a pro-life content creator, and her recently getting attacked in New York City. Now, I want to make it clear that we are not saying that the young lady who attacked Savannah is a demon or is beyond redemption. But I do think that in light of how the internet has handled this story, I need to take a firm stance. And this is also not to endorse everything that Savannah has ever done. I don't know Savannah. I'm friendly with live action, but I've never met her. So I have no idea what the rest of her content is and how antagonistic she is and isn't in other videos. In this video, didn't seem like that was the case. And so this channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire you to live a life that blesses God. Sometimes that means us, as followers of Jesus, standing up and speaking up for those who don't have a voice. So if you're new here, or if you're not new here, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. There's a huge percentage of the people that watch this channel, unfortunately, are not subscribed. And I think it's important to speak up in issues like this, especially with how certain pockets of the internet are handling this specific viral video. Okay, let's jump into my conversation with Jeff. I want to play this clip for you, and I want to come back to your story. Just this past week, we saw a situation. I haven't reacted to this, but a lot of people have been asking my thoughts on this. There was a woman named Savannah who I believe works with live action, and she was doing a man on the street interview, and it instantly escalated to violence. It starts off as this cordial. I'm not gonna play the beginning of it, but they start very friendly, and she's complimenting each other, and then it instantly turns into something that is violent. And I don't understand what else could be driving this besides some sort of spiritual demonic paradigm. This is Savannah Craven Anto, I think is how you say it. She was doing an interview, and so like the temperature here is so interesting, the way this conversation starts and the way it ends, right? So if I play the beginning of this.
Interviews today.
I love your skin tone too.
Thank you. Such a good vibe.
Of course.
Well, awesome. So we're asking people's opinion today on
So it starts very, very flattering and complimenting and all that sort of stuff. And then around the 4-minute mark, they get into this idea of adoption, and it quickly escalates into violence.
What are they afraid of?
Women don't know. They don't know what they're exposing their bodies to. A lot of people, especially behind there's a stigma.
But their options are going up. So they used to have this slogan where they said safe, legal, and rare. That's what we want. Safe, legal, and rare. Until it was exposed that a lot of these facilities were requiring quotas. So the more each facility.
Okay, quotas is crazy.
Well, I've heard of that as well. It's amazing that would be such a thing. But when you're a for-profit business, there's nothing,
Yeah.
Quotas are not unusual.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything against babies, then and you're running a business, then why wouldn't you have quotas?
Is Parenthood for-profit or nonprofit?
Well, they are a nonprofit, but there's a lot of clinics that aren't.
Interesting. That's crazy. Okay.
The more like praise that they would get awards. And so it's really interesting. That doesn't really make it seem like they want safe, legal, and rare abortion.
How many people can you think, or are you going to assume, will literally abandon their children with no repercussions from the state?
No, it's called safe haven baby boxes. We're at a fire station or hospital. You can leave your baby and the mother doesn't have to do anything with it. But that's
So she's giving her the facts around safe haven. And the girl is just nodding her head no. It's like you're having information presented to you of like, no, you don't have to do this act. There are other options, and it's just not registering.
No, I think there's such a stronghold, and I think this comes back to these women's experiences or what they've heard from the media that happens that they just parrot back.
better than killing your baby through abortion, right?
No, ma'am.
It's not better to give your baby up to a family who wants them instead of killing them?
No, ma'am. I have seen so many stories.
I don't know if she meant to say that, but that seems to be the conclusion of the paradigm. It is better to kill this baby than to give it to a family that can raise the baby.
We hear that a lot in our counseling. A woman who is in an unexpected pregnancy that believes that one, you just think about it. She wants to get rid of it as quickly as possible, and it not to affect her life. So the last thing that she wants to do is be pregnant and then put the baby up for adoption. It's the last thing, and they will literally say, "I'd rather kill my baby than put him up for adoption."
What do you think that is?
You know, I think there's some misunderstanding of what adoption is.
Okay.
I think they look at that as foster care, that they're going into a system and they're unwanted and they're uncared for, and they haven't been really educated on adoption today. You know, I've seen stats where there is as many loving parents wanting to adopt as we have abortions every year.
Yeah, I think there's millions of people that are looking
Yes.
to adopt every year.
Right.
And there's different types of adoptions. There's open adoption, closed adoptions. There's all types of different ways that people can go about this.
That's right. And adoption is such a beautiful thing. I mean, especially we as Christians know that we've all been adopted.
Amen.
And it's a beautiful thing. And adoptions, you know, we work with Lifeline Children's Services, and they do an amazing job. And those open adoptions where almost the mom gets adopted too by the family. And it's wonderful to see, and it's such a beautiful thing. So you wonder, someone like this, what's her backstory? You know, what's she been exposed to? Why is she this willing to go to this extent to protect her own belief system?
Yeah.
And countless, literally, like countless stories.
What happens in an abortion?
Literally suck the life out of you. They're gonna take the whole baby out, and as they should, because I shouldn't be a taxpayer paying child support and food stamps and WIC for
You should be a taxpayer paying for a...
Exactly. But
Oh my gosh. I mean, that is just, she says they suck the life out of you. She knows exactly what an abortion is. It's
Yeah.
not a clump of cells. She understands that that's a life in there.
Yeah.
It's dark.
It's hard to believe.
as for a woman who didn't want the baby in the first place, that doesn't make sense to me. Don't ever sit here and lock yourself down with a man who already told you he doesn't want to be with you. He doesn't
I
want
agree
to
with
be
you.
I'm not disagreeing with you
But
either. I understand.
You don't get to kill
But
the
what I'm
baby just
saying
because
is
their dad didn't
that
want
you
them.
can.
Should we kill the kids in foster care? And
Why not? Why not?
Wow.
Why not? Should we kill kids in foster care? Why not?
It's hard to watch, and but I think this is a belief for lots of people. I think we talked about it earlier. I think they believe they're compassionate, and killing a child has become okay in their world. That you can take a life of a child, and I think we've seen that through the abortion industry.
Yeah.
No longer is it safe and rare. It's celebrating your abortion.
Yeah.
It's celebrating killing a child.
That's the case.
We should kill kids in foster care that aren't wanted.
Who's going to take care of them? I need to know the percentage of people who take children from foster care and abuse them and molest them, who make them like personal slaves.
We should just kill them.
Statistics.
Okay, so that's an interesting point. I have never looked into data. I don't know if you've ever looked into data. Babies that get adopted, right? Because she's also conflating foster care with adoption.
She is.
Right? But babies that get adopted, are they at a higher likelihood of the things she's listed, right? Because she said slavery, she said abuse, she said, right? Like she said some really heavy things. That would be interesting because I don't know if, I understand there's issues with the foster care system, right? But the foster care system isn't babies that get adopted. It's babies that, come from really rough households.
Yeah, I don't know the statistics on that either. I do know that they're making a lot of headway in the foster care system, especially if you can get in with Christian families. And so there's a lot of work, but there is a lot of conflation between what adoption is and the foster care, and I think they equate those
As the same thing.
as the same thing.
Yeah.
Before you come to me talking about pro-life,
We
I
should
think that
kill the
as a
victims of
child,
molestation.
I think, what does this have to do with
You just mentioned people molesting children. We should kill the kids in foster care is what you said.
What I'm saying is in general, overall. If I don't want to have a baby, I should have the choice to.
Just don't have sex then.
not.
Just don't have sex.
It's not even logical.
It is.
Dumb as
It is.
Who are you, Nancy?
I
fucking
sound
dumb?
dumb. I
You
sound
do.
dumb as Okay.
It does, because even as teens, people explore. And it's like, as funny as you want to be,
well.
people should still have the choice.
So you went from saying that my outfit was really cute to saying I'm an effing idiot. That's so mean.
But I think that
you
your
did.
view it's very obstructed, and I think that you just don't understand.
She said her view is very obstructed.
Yeah.
Wow. This is insane.
The magnitude of having a child.
Yeah, well, I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been
That's
abused.
not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really.
Oh my God.
So
Wow.
she, proceeds to, she assaults this lady. And I think what it was that I think she was cornered and she realized how incoherent
Right.
this is. And that's usually when you have these sorts of conversations, people discover their own incoherent worldview.
Right.
They're like, that none of that makes sense.
Right.
None of that makes sense. And so I think this is wrong, and I hope this lady gets charged. I understand the visceral reaction to this.
Yeah.
I think it's just, this is a reflection of where a lot of people are with their mentality around this.
Well, it's why we go in these circular arguments, because when you really get down to confronting pro-abortion arguments, they don't have much to say except their emotions and beliefs that as soon as you begin to unravel those, they get violent. They get, they start yelling. And so you never really come into a conversation about those. And so it's hard to have those conversations. We've seen that across the country, whether it's politics or whether it's life. And we're getting more and more difficult to actually have conversations and understanding other people's views.
Yeah. And this is this lady's apology, which again, I'm still not sure if you can call it an apology, and I'm not sure why she isn't charged yet. But she says, to Savannah, I sincerely apologize, but cannot sit around and allow you to continue pushing this one-sided narrative. What? Anytime the word apology has the word but next to it,
Yeah.
that's no longer an apology.
It never works for my wife and I.
Yeah, it doesn't work in a marriage, it doesn't work with your friends, it doesn't work with your family. I understand hands being put on someone is never the answer, but throwing rocks and hiding hands is worse. So throwing rocks and hiding, I don't think she's meaning literally, is worse than physically assaulting someone. So cornering someone and showing the inconsistencies in their worldview is worse than putting hands on someone.
Yeah, just justifying violence.
Yeah. She knows the truth and she needs to release the footage in its entirety, which she has, by the way. Savannah is a professional antagonist, not a reporter, and the truth will be told. I struggle with this because I don't think Savannah was unnecessarily antagonistic to her. It starts off pleasant and it slowly escalates the more she's pressed on her worldview.
I often, just ask people that, the pro-life movement, you hear from pro-abortion, that we only care about saving the life of the baby. We don't care about the mom, which is untrue. You look at what pregnancy centers are doing. You don't ever ask Planned Parenthood. There are over $2 billion in funding. And they walk into a Planned Parenthood and take the life of their child. And they walk out with the same issues that they had walking in. So I think if this woman wants to be mad about something, she should be mad about the fact that Planned Parenthood's only solution is taking the life of the child. Where are they at wanting to help a mom? If the same women that I mentioned earlier, that statistic, 76% of these moms who are heading to the abortion clinic, they're on their way, tell us they would prefer to parent. Where is the conversation about that with this woman? How about let's help moms? Let's care for them well. Taking the child's life is not the answer.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the fact that this is so accepted and so celebrated now seems like it's taken a darker turn. And I hope that at the very least people can just have sober conversations about this. Acknowledge that that's a baby.
That's right.
Acknowledge what you're doing. And then acknowledge what is the better pathway forward. Right? Ultimately, if you aren't ready to have a baby, you shouldn't be having.
Right.
Like, I think that's basic, foundational common sense.
Do you think most people realize that there's a heartbeat at 6 weeks?
I think most people don't realize what's in there at all. Like, because this whole clump of cells nonsense, they don't understand what's in there at all. And so I've seen videos of women who take the pill for the abortion, right? And then the baby's fleshed out. You're basically forcing a miscarriage.
Yes.
And then they're traumatized by what actually came out of them. If you're married and you know anyone that's had a miscarriage, you would know how traumatizing that is. But these pills are forcing women to have miscarriages and then relive, experience the same trauma that's totally unnecessary as someone who's having an actual miscarriage, which is extremely tragic.
Under COVID and the Biden administration, all the safety rims were lifted, all the mechanisms to help women make sure, at least when they were taking the pill, it was under a doctor's care. Now they are literally ordering pills from around the world. They get them into their home and no instructions. They have no idea what's about to come. And so women are going through horrific situations of their child and seeing the child in their toilet. And so we get calls all the time of women who have the pills in hand and don't know what to do. Do I take both of them at the same time? And so that is one of the biggest issues. I don't know if you know that over 70, Guttmacher, which is Planned Parenthood's research arm, says 63% of all abortions now are chemical abortions. And I think it's probably higher than that. But so all the chemical abortion has become the method of which women now are in their home by themselves and having to deal with the consequences of it.
Is it fair to say that what's happening from a cultural standpoint around this issue specifically, would you go as far as to say that the paradigm itself is demonic?
I don't know of any other way to understand what's going on besides to understand that it is a spiritual battle, that we are fighting against principalities. I don't know why else there's so much vitriol in the culture about killing a child and why that is so important to the pro-abortion side, that we must kill these children in order. So, I think it is a spiritual issue for sure. And so we've got to treat it as such.
How can they get more information about the book, and how can they get more information about Human Coalition, and specifically how they can partner with you guys?
Yeah, well, humancoalition.org. Check out our website. The book, Beauty from Ashes, book.org, I believe is the website for that. But you can find it on our Human Coalition website as well. And so we would love for folks to join us in helping save the next baby, care for the next mom, helping us to change the world by loving these moms through difficult circumstances.
Amen. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.